Today on the podcast, we are talking about airplane safety. And I know you guys might think, what does that have to do with framing your mind? Well, how about you stick around and you find out? Frame My Mind podcast starts right about now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Frame My Mind podcast. It's your boy Simbawi Nibayo Jr., aka TK, along with my man Omar Williams. We call him O. What's up to the peeps, O?
What's going on, good people?
It is another lovely Wednesday morning, and y'all know how we do. We get things started and popping. But before we do, we have our affirmations for the day. And so if you've got your affirmations written out, or if you got them memorized, or however, get that together, get that ready, so we can knock that out, get the day going, and get it started. Are you ready? Here we go. Today will be a great day. Today will be a good day. Today will be an awesome day. Today will be an amazing day. Today will be a phenomenal day. Today will be stress-free. Today will be a stress-less day. Today, I will overcome all barriers that want to block my progress. Today, all circumstances and issues will work in my favor. Today, all things will line up for my good. Today, I'll become better than who and what I was yesterday. I am a go-getter. I am triumphant. I am victorious. I am an overcomer. I never lose. I either win or I learn. I take authority over this day. I will dominate this day. I will conquer this day. And everything I have spoken into this day will happen as I have affirmed, because I am more than a conqueror. Let's get it started. So today, we have myself and O. Denise has off today. I believe she's traveling, so she's unavailable, but it's all good. It's all good. So we are talking today about airplane safety. And again, you might think, what does that have to do with framing your mind or the Frame My Mind podcast? Well, let's look at some things that have happened over the past, I don't know, say year. And then we'll kind of go over some numbers and statistics, because I think it's important to do that. So a lot of things that I've come across, not me personally, I have come across one safety issue in my travels with the airplane. And that particular, and it wasn't really a big deal. It's just a matter of, waiting for other planes to land before we can take off. Not waiting for others to take off, waiting for others to land before we could take off. And then there was an instance where we were waiting for other planes to land. We were in the air, waiting for other planes to land that were ahead of us. So we kind of had to hover in the air, or kind of, maybe circle until it was our turn. I think this might have been on my way to either Atlanta or Florida, I believe it was. And that was about it. And nothing else too crazy. No turbulence. That's just something that happens. You don't really have any control over that. You know what I mean? That's just natural weather conditions. But the safety that we're talking about are the conditions in which the plane may not be suitable for taking off in the first place. Number one, the door is not necessarily shut. I have had instances where people have told me, and I will not name any airlines because we're not going to do that, but people who have told me that a certain airline has had to tape the door shut before taking off. I don't think that is in anybody's book of regulations of plane safety. Taping the main door shut so that you can take off. That would not sit very well with me. Not to mention, there was an instance where someone said the plane door wouldn't shut, So they had to actually take the door off and put a new door on. And then another instance where the door could not be fixed, so the flight got canceled. Had to wait till the next day to get a flight. Now, again, some things you just can't, you can't, it's just beyond your control, right? But a taped door just does not sit well with me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't get with that. The other instance that I've had from someone was, or not from someone, but that I saw and heard of, was an actual window, like either bursting or coming apart, where now the window is actually open as their plane is flying to this destination. I'm not sure it, well, no, let me not say that. That definitely is not safe at that altitude at all. Now, again, I don't know if the not the catastrophic numbers, but I don't know what the air safety number that says, hey, this is not safe. We have to have an emergency landing. I'm not sure, but that does not feel safe to me at all. Last thing I'll say is this. Um, I think that we kind of talked on off air about this last week, was when there was a particular person who was asked, and if you've ever been on a plane, if you're sitting in the emergency exit area, the flight attendants will say, "Hey, you're sitting in the emergency exit area. This is what comes with sitting here." And the main thing is that if there is an emergency, you agree to help everyone else off the plane, and then you be the last person to get off, right? Outside of possibly, of course, the attendants, right? You help everyone else off the plane. And so this particular person said, "Yeah, sure, I will do that. I comply to help in an emergency situation." They come back to the person before it's time to like buckle everyone up. They're going through all of the the procedures with the seat belts and the bags and the floating devices. And the person then says, "Hey, I don't think that's something that I'm willing to do." And so they're like, "Oh, okay, no problem. But you're going to have to move your seat somewhere else and let someone else who's willing to sit here." And the individual refused to move their seat. So now we have someone who has, number one, first of all, agreed to say, "I will help in an emergency situation to get everyone off the plane." And then you have a situation where then they change their mind. I'm not sure why that happened. I'm not sure what came across them that want to change their mind, but then now move your seat. And they refused to move their seat. And the result of that was they had to take everyone off the plane and then have the passenger removed from the plane. So another plane issue that happened, that now we're looking at, okay, this particular person refused to do what was asked. And then having everyone else have to exit the plane, causing the plane to be delayed because all you had to do was move your seat. So it tells me that you were just there for the leg room, not to actually help with the emergency exit. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let O go and see, where his thoughts are with any of this, any you know, thing he wants to say on this topic. Oh, you got the floor.
All right. Yeah, my thoughts are this, man. I think that what we don't know and what we don't realize is that the plane business, the aircraft business, is not that profitable. I think a lot of these companies run at a deficit, but because we need, like, as a country, or as like a thriving country, you need transportation, you need trains, you need airplanes, you need automobiles, right? So they can't shut it down. So the government has to help out to keep this rolling. They can't just shut down aircraft we transportation. It just, the way we work, like we have goods that get delivered through plane. We got people who travel through plane. A lot of business gets conducted because of the airplane, but I think it's not a very profitable business. And with that being said, I think a lot of these companies, you're starting to get, how can I put it? You're starting to get like the quality the quality of people that you're hiring are probably not as good as it used to be, right? So now you get situations where planes are taking off, and the quality of person that's supposed to check whether the door is sealed or not, or even if they're checking the seal, there's somebody from up top saying, you know what, we this plane gotta go. We can't cancel it. We don't have we don't have the money to return these people's money. Like we can't afford to give everyone on this plane their money back. So we gotta figure something out to get this plane from here to wherever we gotta go. So I think with all those different issues, you're getting a lot of this stuff coming up. And I think after COVID, they said a big hit. It was a big hit that industry took. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the quality people didn't come back to work. They say a lot of the pilots get paid more money to do private jobs rather than work for these big companies. So with a lot of that, all of that changes. I think you're getting a lot more of that stuff now because you figure 10 years ago we didn't hear about this. These planes going, planes coming down emergency landings and windows opening up and doors not closing. I feel like things are changing and they got to fix it quick because all, I just pray to God that they like nothing happens, like no casualties happen because of neglect or negligence on these companies' part. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
they got to figure it.
going back to the point of doing what you got to do to make sure that you get the plane going. But in my own eyes, it's kind of like, so you're telling me that you don't want to make sure people are safe when you're taking off. Like, you don't have any other planes you can bring. I mean, there
Right,
is quote unquote a garage of airplanes, right? But I mean, if you don't have one, it's like, how about we just cancel the flight and then have them people fly tomorrow, and we have a plane available,
right,
rather than possibly risking an accident, for better or worse,
right.
or not for better or worse, for lack of the lack thereof. Because now, let's be honest, like, you're playing with people's lives here.
Yeah,
It's like getting on a bus or a train and saying, "Hey, man, let's just, the doors won't close. We're gonna take off. We're gonna drive off anyway."
right,
And then it's like that's a hazard. Or it's like, "Hey, you know what? Um, we got some brakes, so we're gonna go anyway. And let's just we gotta make it do what we gotta do." That's just dangerous, man. And I
it
think
is
that's gambling with people's lives. Whether there's money involved or not, life is not something we need to gamble with. That's just plain and simple to me. And I get that it may be costing you money to not have enough to wait the next day, get another plane, fix the issue. But let's think from the standpoint of, hey, that could be your family member on that plane, or that could, think about, hey, that could be me. Now again, you have the flight attendants and those who are on there, the pilots, and it's like, they're on the plane too. But if you don't necessarily value your life, I would hope you at least value mine. But I guess, it's kind of, if you don't love yourself, you're not able to love others. It's kind of like that deal. So I get it, but it's kind of like at the same time, it's just dangerous. So that's all I can say. It's dangerous. So that's where I'm at with it. So, you know, and then you have the issue of um people who, again, they don't necessarily understand that you have other people's lives in your hands. And that's comes with the responsibility of being a pilot, driver, or anything of that nature, right? Bus, train, airplane, any public transportation, even those who are doing Lyft and Uber, same deal. People's lives are in your hand. Um, and then we have the issue where you kind of go through to the next level of these self-driving vehicles, and now you have technology that has people's hands in their lives. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll take a real life person, please. No, thank you. I'm good. What I want to do, I do want to go over some statistics though, because we're not necessarily talking about, planes that have, necessarily crash landed or that have had, crashes or accidents. But I wanted to say, looking at these numbers here, that the number of accidents over the past, I would say, 30 years has gone down drastically. If you look back at like 1982, the number of crashes or well, so I say crashes were about in the 3,500s on a yearly basis, which is high for me. I believe that's high. Um, but if you go to 2019, it says the number of crashes were at 640. It's about 3,000 less than 1982. And if you look at that particular data, the numbers come down over a 5-year period. So it's constantly coming down. And that could be either due to plane malfunction or just pilot malfunction, pilot accident, pilot error. And again, we're not harping on pilots because there are things that are beyond the pilot's control that can happen to an airplane. But at the same time, if you're in that line of work and you're causing error more times than not, you're likely not going to be in that industry very long as a pilot. There's a guy that I know who currently is getting his 10,000 hours as a pilot right now, currently, and he takes this job very seriously, and so I think that's just highly important, and just kind of wanted to highlight that to see that hey, things have gotten better, but we don't want them to kind of turn and go in the opposite
Backwards.
direction and start
Right.
having that number go up again because of the carelessness of the fact that hey, we're going to take this door shut and take off. No, thank you. You know what I mean? Or there's something wrong with the plane, we take off anyway. So just wanted to kind of put that out there for people to kind of see and hear. So you have anything else you want to add? Oh,
Yeah, I was told this. I didn't believe it, but a guy on my where I work told me that like a lot of the cheaper airlines get a lot of these defective planes from the from the more prestigious airlines. So a lot of this stuff is happening with the companies that that you like the economy flights. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like it's worth it, I know they're cheap, but if you just got to put a little couple extra bucks up, depending on if you're flying with your family, it might be worth doing it. Um, especially until they figure this out. But I heard a lot of ways that these econo flight companies they get up and running is they get these planes that the bigger companies don't need anymore, don't want anymore. You know what I mean? Like they get their old stuff. We don't know it's old because it looks pretty on the outside, but you can
huh.
put paint on hoopty if you know anything about cars.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Soup it up.
um, you can soup it up. Yeah, like
Exactly.
it can look pretty on the outside, but it's a 1985 whatever Toyota
Right.
on the
Right.
inside.
With
So
a Honda engine.
exactly. So
Listen, I'm
some of
not
these
going.
planes is hoopties.
Listen, I'm not going because Honda make good cars. So no, I'm just saying that I might not want a Honda engine in my Toyota. That's all I'm saying.
You got it. You
You know
got
what I mean?
it.
I will say this, and I am going to mention a airline, and that's Southwest. I fly Southwest wherever I go. The only time I don't fly Southwest is if I'm going out of uh, out of the country, and Southwest is not going that way. It's now I have to use another airline, or you know if it's a flight where Southwest doesn't go, which is very rare. I'll use a different flight, but I mean, 99.9% of the time, I'm flying Southwest. So I have not had an issue with Southwest, so I can mention them here on the podcast. I haven't had an issue with them. Um, Great airline to fly out of. Most of the flights are direct flights. They do have some that lay over, but most of them are direct. And so never had. And if there was an issue with the plane, which I've never had, it's been hey, we need to take you guys off the plane, or hey, the plane has an issue, we got to bring another plane in. I did have that issue once, and so they didn't let us get. I can't even say it. They didn't even let us get on the plane. They waited until they bought another plane to us, made sure that plane was right, and then they let us board on. Now, our flight was delayed and whatnot, but we weren't in a plane that could have probably had us in a worse situation than what we were already in. So that was definitely commendable as well. So before we end out, any other last words you want to let people know before we end out today? Shorter podcast, but again, I just want to bring you guys some value, some information, and things you may not know or know of when it comes to airplane safety or airline safety, for that matter.
My last words will be: we're not gonna be fearful. We're still gonna fly. We're still gonna travel. We're still gonna go out, travel with our families, but just be take precaution and kind of understand what's going on. And if you see a issue on the plane, if I see a door open and I can get up and leave, I would, rather than take the chance. I'm just gonna be like, yo, that's messed up. We gotta go.
Yeah. Personally, I don't really have any last words. It's just allow yourself to be as safe as possible, especially for you and your family. If you're traveling alone, make sure that you're making sure you're getting home to your family. If you're traveling with your family, make sure that you are in the best and safe situation that you all can get home safely. And again, one last thing I will say that just came to mind. It has been said, and statistics have to a large degree proven, that airplane travel by air is actually one of, if not the safest ways to travel. Now, when I say by air, meaning you are already in the air on your way to your destination. Okay? So if you're looking at trains, automobiles, motorcycles, buses, they all statistically are worse than traveling by airplane. Now, again, this is by you're already in the air traveling. That's just a statistic that's actually out there. So this is not a talk to scare you guys that are flying, nothing like that, or to make you feel that your plane is going to have issues. It's just that, hey, we'll just bring this to your light. So if you don't know, hey, now you do. You can't say no one told you. You know what I mean? Fan Money Podcast said, hey, be safe, know what's going on, and when all else fails, pray and allow the spirit inside of you to be like, hey, this might not be a good idea. Amen. Amen. So, follow us at the podcast, Fan Money Podcast, continue to think it, speak it, and achieve it. And until next time, myself and hey, we holla. Thank you for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. Join us next time for part 2 of Back to Life, Back to Reality. And as always, here at Frame of Mind Inc., think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. As our tagline says, think it, speak it, achieve it. See you next time. Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.frameofmindinc.com, where you can browse our online apparel store, listen to some of our original music and production services, as well as view our videos and projects we've done for our clients and customers.